was good. But all of a sudden, everybody on the run, now the food basket of the nation will be the catchfish for the water.
Welcome back to Sunrise, and we're still looking at the situation across the country. This time we're going to the southern part of the country, southeast, south, Cross River, Ebonyi. Some say that this, the theft of 300 cows and the killing across the Middle Belt is nothing compared to what's been going on in this other part of the country. The question has been, what would it take to bring peace to border areas between Ebonyi and Cross River State? In the latest clash between Agba in Ebonyi and Ukele in Cross River, 10 persons were said to have been killed and about 7,000 persons displaced. How do we work out the situation? It's been on for decades. What will be the solution at the end of the day? But help us look at this entire matter. We have here in our studio, Emmanuel Onwe is the Commissioner for Information at Ebonyi State. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Also here is a journalist who's been covering that access, Jalingo Agba. Thank you for joining us.
It's always a pleasure. Thank you.
And from our Abuja studio, surprisingly, we didn't know this was going to happen, but we have a traditional ruler, the clan head of Ukele Kingdom, Stephen Odom. There. Thank you for joining us, Your Highness.
Thank you very much.
Let's begin with the journalist. Tell us what you've been able to find in your reportage of that area.
Well, very effectively, we started reporting this crisis since 2012. That's exactly when our media organization found their feet in Cross River State. And it's a recurring problem. Every year when it's planting season, you can be sure that these people are going to fight themselves. They're going to kill people. And in the past 6 years, from our own counting, close to about 200 people have been killed in those crises. Because
that's combined.
They are combined, because there are 4 flanks, actually, where this is happening. There are 3 local governments in Cross River State that have boundary with Ebonyi State. The first one is Yala local government. Obubra has this boundary from 2 axes. The Obubra local government is fighting with some people in Abakaliki, some communities in Abakaliki local government, and some other communities in Ikwo local government. Then, of course, you also have Abi local government, which also has a boundary with Ebonyi State around Ikwo local government. So there are 4 axes where this is happening. And every time, like I said, when they are farming, you will expect that this thing will happen from 1 or 2 of those axes. And it has repeated itself for close to 2 decades now. But like I said, we started reporting this effectively in 2012. But what I've noticed is that when these things happen, Nyota, there is no institutional, sustainable conflict resolution mechanism that is put in place to solve this problem. When these things happen, government from both ends move in soldiers and police. They go there, stand around maybe for a week or 2. If the warring parties decide to give themselves a break, these people leave. And then maybe after some months again, they continue. That has been the recurring thing. There have been some window dressing attempts. I know that the deputy governors of both ends have been meeting.
Jalingo, pause.
Yeah.
Good. You say during planting season, there's fighting between them and there's killings.
Yeah.
What is the cause?
Land.
Or land to farm?
Land to farm. Cross River State alone has 23,000 square kilometers of empty land. And you'll be wondering why 2 communities are fighting over pieces of land that cannot bring 50 bags of cassava. And I put the blame squarely on the fact that, I repeat again, that both governments from both Ebonyi, because to the best of my knowledge, I can, maybe as the program goes on, I could give you timelines of the various interventions that both governments have tried to do since 2014. They have tried to do committees that never come up with their reports. Even when the reports are made, they are never made public. And you never get, like I said, there is no sustainable conflict resolution mechanism that has been put in place since the days of Lee Elimoke and Martins Elechi. That's when we started reporting this matter. They keep meeting, but these meetings at best have been ceremonial and nothing has been on the ground. Once this crisis break up, they send troops, send soldiers, they go there, stand there for 2 weeks, 1 week, and everybody leaves, and then the communities continue.
Let's, before we come to you, Commissioner, let's ask the traditional ruler, what is the cause of this situation between the farmers in the 2 states?
Thank you very much. I don't think it is just about farmland. It is about annexing land belonging to Cross Riverians to Ebonyi State. That is what has been causing this trouble. It's not something that started yesterday. It didn't start in 2005. It started in 18-something, when the people of Izi, who are now in Ebonyi State, have been doing everything to expel the people of Ukele from their God-given land. That is what has been causing this trouble. In my axis, the Izis have ample land. The Izi settlers in Ukele have ample land to farm without any intervention from any Ukele person. So it is not just about the land. The issue is for them to send us out of our God-given land to cross the river. Let that land be annexed to Ebonyi State.
So it is still land?
Still land.
Not okay.
Honorable Commissioner.
Yes.
You've heard about, he talked about the two governments from way back having meetings and all of that.
Yes.
You've heard the traditional ruler, it's not just about farming.
Yes.
It's about annexation of land.
Yes.
But what do you think is the situation?
Thank you very much. I think the first point to make is, as a citizen of this republic, it is absolutely tragic what is happening to our country, the cheapness of lives. Must the soil of Nigeria be soaked in blood, the blood of citizens of Nigeria, before something is done? Amnesty International report recently indicates that in the first 6 months of this year alone, over 1,800 Nigerians have been slaughtered by fellow Nigerians. We are not facing external aggressors. These are Nigerians slaughtering one another. Now, that is, as a preamble, as a citizen, it has to be said. This country is facing the elements of what the Rwandans faced before a crisis that almost annihilated that country, overcame them. Something needs to be done. Now, on the issue of Cross River,
what has to be done by the citizens.
What needs to be done has to be done by the leaders of the country. Citizens themselves are bearing the brunt of the escalation of violence, the regularity of violence, and sometimes they feel completely left alone, unprotected. Someone who was sitting here made a great point that one of the most primary, fundamental provisions of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is the protection of the lives and property of the citizens. That is failing at the moment, and any Nigerian who keeps quiet at this moment is complicit. And any Nigerian leader who has responsibility to bring this to a cessation and fails to do so is also complicit. That has to be said on a general basis. Okay. Now, in respect of what is happening between Ebonyi State and Cross River State, thank you for inviting me, and also thank you very much for intimating me on the position of the governor of Cross River State when I came here. Because when he invited me, the intention was we were going to have a conversation between people, a representative of Ebonyi State and a representative of Cross River State. Now, that is not happening. And I was having reservations about that because it beats me how the studio of a television station would be the place to sit and find solution to what is happening on the ground in these two states when we have elected leaders to do so. So I'm very glad that you said the governor of Cross River State called in to say we should not do this, that he's going to take the initiative to ensure that he meets his counterpart in Ebonyi State for a proper discussion that is going to lead to positive resolution. I endorse that. And on that basis, whilst I have a number of points prepared to make, I would respect the decision of the governor of Cross River State. I cannot discuss this matter because that would be completely and entirely prejudicial to the initiative he has taken. Because let's make no mistake about it.
Understandable.
Once the leadership of these two states agree to solve the problem, it will be solved. Because they're leaders. And their leaders that command the respect and obedience of their citizens to the extent that they lead correctly. And in this circumstance, I feel that any further contribution I make to that crisis would absolutely undermine and be disrespectful to the governor of Cross River State.
Thank you for your position, which you put out in the public glare. But Jalingo also said something. The governments before this government have met they've had conversations, they've had interventions. He said he was going to give a timeline of the different interventions. So what would you say in their meeting, because you may not be in that meeting, what would you say should be part of what they'll be looking at in their meeting to ensure that this matter is settled?
So we
would hopefully return to this topic after that meeting.
Yeah.
Because we'd like to follow it. But what would you suggest that they should look at in discussing this matter?
No, I will make those suggestions privately.